What's up, everybody? Welcome to HauntScene Live. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m.-ish. You are where you should be, watching America's #1 rated haunt podcast in Orlando on Tuesday nights, Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Johnny Bronto. With me, as always, my lovely, beautiful, amazing co-hosts, Melissa Luke.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us here at HauntScene.
I have been waiting to talk to this person forever, so we're going to get through our official stuff very, very quick. But I hope everybody's having a great night. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, do all the things down below. If you have any questions for us or our guests throughout the show, put it in the comments, and we'll see if we can get to it. But yeah, we got a couple official things to get through. Remember, I don't know when this ends, but we are nominated for the Best of Orlando Local Notables Best Podcast. So please go to orlandoweekly.com. You can vote once a day. Please go in and do that. We came in second place last year, which was awesome. And we were the #1 spooky podcast, so that was cool.
Sure were. That was awesome.
And so we'd love to do that again. Also want to give a shout out to our official show sponsors. Thank you to Fright Nights, South Florida Fairgrounds, down in West Palm Beach, Florida. We were just talking about how excited we are to get back down there. Go to myfrightnights.com. Also, Woods of Terror in Greensboro, North Carolina. Can't wait to go to woodsofterror.com. Check out their social media. They've been building a whole new stage and all kinds of stuff. So Eddie and everybody at Woods of Terror, we love you. Thank you for supporting the show. I don't even know where to start.
I'm so excited.
I'm like scared to bring him on.
Wait.
I'm fangirling right now a little bit.
I'm waiting for this. I'm so
I know,
happy.
right?
I'm so happy.
I know.
I can feel the excitement, Johnny.
All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I unmute this person.
Unmute him.
Because I am not an amateur. Let's do that
You've done this
first.
before, yes.
And let's bring on our guest, Stephen Cognetti.
What's up, Stephen?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello, doing well. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's great. This is Tuesday night. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Stephen is the writer-director of the Hell House movies. We're huge fans of anything horror-related, but when you mix horror and haunted attraction, that's like our...
And found footage movies are, I find even more terrifying than...
They're like docu-found footage.
Yeah.
But this is the part where I get to put you on the spot, Stephen. We have a little segment here we call the elevator pitch, so I don't have to go and read out your bio. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. All right. The elevator pitch with Stephen Cognetti. He's going to tell us his life story. Stephen, tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. Give us your life story, your life philosophy, everything you got going on.
I'm in the writer-director of the Hell House LLC, the franchise, and if you call it that, I don't know what else to say about that, about my life story, because I feel the rest of it is boring.
Oh, come on.
We don't think it is.
I have 2 amazing little boys, an amazing wife, and we live in Scranton, Pennsylvania right now. When I made the original Hell House, we were living in New York City, my wife and I. And then when we had our first child, soon after, actually right around when the first Hell House was released, we realized that living in New York is very expensive. And then once you add a third wheel onto living in New York, we were like, let's get out of here. Let's go to somewhere else. And I said, I know, I grew up in Pennsylvania. Let's go back there. And so we went back there in 2016. We've been here ever since. And so what's been great, because I've been able to film all the Hell Houses in Pennsylvania, but not actually in the Scranton area. But the fourth one we did. The fourth one we filmed right up by where I live. So I was able to come home every night instead of stay at some motel in the middle of nowhere for that. So that was special, and that was good because I don't like being away from the fam at all. So it's if I can cut down that time, that's great. But so yeah. That's a little bit about me. Temple University Film School, Philadelphia, and that was a great experience in itself. And yeah, that's it. I was All-American quarterback college, but busted my knee. Then I joined the FBI for a little while because of that, and then I just I busted this ring of criminals when I joined the FBI, and they were a surfer group. And
wait, whoa! Hold on.
Wait,
what?
Hold on there. All right.
Why you said my life story?
This sounds familiar.
Talking about the FBI, and my first partner at the FBI, he was this like wily old man, and he always wanted 2 meatball subs instead of just 1. He wanted 2. He was always like, Cognetti, give me 2.
Oh my god!
So that was an experience. Then after the FBI, that was a wild thing. So then I just got into filmmaking, stuck to that.
Does the plot of that movie sound familiar? Have you ever seen Point Break?
I have not.
What?
I have not.
Steven, we gotta go. We gotta make her watch Point Break.
Oh, you haven't seen Point Break?
I haven't.
With Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves.
Okay, so then I have to ask, if you haven't seen the film, how long were you listening to what I was saying? And like, what is going on? Like, where was
I was honestly, I was really confused for a second. Yes,
I was with you, and like I busted my knee as a football player, and then you're like FBI, and I was like, huh. That sounds familiar. And then it busted a ring of criminals. Oh, dude, you gotta watch Point Break.
Johnny Utah and Stephen Cognetti have a similar career path.
When did that movie come out? What year is that movie?
That's like late 80s, early 90s.
That's okay. I didn't come around to 91.
It was like Patrick Swayze at the height of his power.
I mean,
Roadhouse.
I've seen Roadhouse. I've seen Ghost. Ghost is
the best Keanu Reeves you're ever going to see. Keanu Reeves' best film. So sorry, so sometimes I will throw a random story film related out there.
Oh no, it's all good. I was very.
He was testing us, and you failed.
I was very confused for a second. Yeah. Okay. God,
that was it reminds me like when I met my wife's family. I traveled down to Virginia, met her extended family for the first time before we were married. We had just been engaged, and they asked me, how did you guys meet? And then I went into the story. I was like, well, I won a ticket onto a cruise ship, and by in a game of poker, a game of chance. And then she's first class, and I went into pretty much the whole story of the Titanic. And it was like, I loved telling that story just to see at what point watching their face, at what point did each of them just kind of realize like, wait a minute.
Awesome. Okay, I want to do that now. When someone asks me how we met, Johnny, I want to think of a plot in a movie.
All right, we'll think of one together.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that. Okay.
Got some fans in here. Our friend Amanda, Susan, thank you for chiming in. They absolutely love the Hell House series. Very, very cool.
Yeah, she wanted to tell you, I absolutely love the Hell House movies. Yeah.
Cool.
From our friend Amanda.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so nice.
Yes.
All right, we have so much to get through. So many questions. I do want to give a couple shout outs to Angie Moyer, Waldorf State of Fear, where the films were done. We've been there, so we got some stuff about that. But let's go ahead and take a look at this stuff. There's going to be a lot, and then I have to ask you some questions about actually like making the movie because Are you gonna get emotional, Johnny? I am. I love this movie. Okay. All right. So let's start off here. If you want to watch the Hell House movies, you can watch them all on Shudder. I just noticed right before the show, you can also watch the first 3 on Tubi for free. You can also come watch them over at Johnny's house because he has them all on DVD. I have all the ones I can have on DVD here. But if you want to watch these movies, which you should check them out here. And then there are the first 3 movies. There is the prequel, Hell House Origins, which is going to be on Shudder. Also very, very awesome. Kara and I watched it when we went up to Pennsylvania last year. The night before we did the haunt, Kara and I watched the whole movie. The night before we did the haunt. Really good timing. Yeah, it was very good timing.
Before you went to the Waldorf State of Fear, you saw Hell House?
Yeah, we saw the movie the night before we did the haunt.
That's so cool. That's really an experience. I would just say because for myself, even I just always love going back to the Waldorf just because my experience there, and so every time I'm back, it's just so memorable though. But having seen the film and then walking into it was really cool. I think that's one reason why we did it. And it was also terrifying to actually be at the location that they filmed the movie because the movie terrified me. So it just made me uneasy being at the actual location. So when I was recruiting Melissa to the show, have you seen the Houses October Built movies? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we came out around the same time.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna come up later. Yeah. So. That's actually what I showed Melissa before. I was like, hey, by the way, this is what we do. We go out and do haunted houses. Check out this movie. And it was The Houses October Built. So, and I watch all the stuff that unfold in that movie, and then I got scared. Am I going to end up in a coffin? I don't know.
Right. It sounds exactly like you guys are who the movie was made for. But what I will say about Houses October Built is when I first heard of that film, I was like, Darn it, that's such a good title. I wish I thought of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hell House is
good too. Amazing. It's scary.
Oh yeah, I know. I just love. I mean, for me, I love everything October and everything about October and what it represents. And I think that's such a clever, beautiful name for a film.
Definitely,
absolutely. For sure. All right, so I've got the Waldorf Estate of Fear website pulled up right here. So if you go to the waldorfestateoffear.com, you can get all the information. There are some upcoming events there. They do stuff in the off-season, paranormal tours, and all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into some of the other things a little bit later, but we do have a special shout-out that we want to play for you and the audience, Stephen. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up.
Hi, everyone. Angie here from Waldorf Estate of Fear. I just wanted to say what an honor it was to work with Stephen Cognetti on these Hell House films. He is an amazing writer, director, and I am so lucky to have him as a friend. I wanted to tell all the Hell House fans about this new thing I'm working on, a TV show with Santiago Cirillo from The Walking Dead and David Childers, who's been in a ton of paranormal TV shows. It's called 24 Hours in Hell, a paranormal journey through Hell House, Waldorf Estate of Fear. We gathered a bunch of people with different backgrounds. We put them inside to see how the hotel will respond to them and the phenomena that is Waldorf Estate of Fear. And of course, we're getting ready for the haunt season, which opens September 28th. And don't forget, we have an Escape Hell House night, October 6th. So we hope to see all of you there. Scare you later.
That's so cool.
I know, Angie.
She's really awesome. We met her last year. She's awesome.
She's awesome is like an understatement. And I don't think Hell House would have been what it was if I hadn't met Angie. So meeting her was just very fortuitous and fortunate on my end, just because she loved the script, and meeting her and I needing a haunt, and her haunt had everything we needed, and then she was just such an asset on set every day, all the time, and just such a horror junkie. Like all of us were and still are. So so getting that message from her is so sweet. Yes, and yeah, her and I we're close. We remain close, and I try to visit her like at least every year. Get out there to the Abaddon and see her again. I call it the Abaddon, to the Waldorf, but and all those events she talks about, they're all so much fun. She invites me back for some events sometimes too, and every time she does, she's like, "Will you come to the Waldorf and?" I'm doing an event, and I'm like, yes, thank you. I was waiting for an invite. I'm on my way.
I'm parked outside.
Yeah, exactly. I'm watching you right now.
Similar to the
so
movie.
How far away do you live from this location, in Lehigh?
About an hour.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not, which is great, means I can always conveniently get there if I need to, whether it be for shooting purposes. We did have one scene in the fourth film to shoot at the Waldorf, which is the very end of the fourth film. But just for any kind of event they're doing, or just to do their haunt, as a paying customer in October, which is just so much fun. I always encourage anybody, if you're in the area, get to the Waldorf in October. It's just a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We had an absolute blast.
It was so surreal being there. Just not only going to this haunt, but also knowing that this haunt was in a movie. It was super cool. And cool. Just going through the house too, going through the haunt, like the scenes from the movie as you're going through.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was in the movie, that was in the movie, this was in the movie. It was.
Did anything like so cool. In particular? I always like to ask people who've seen the movie and then visit the haunt. Like, did anything stand out? And people like you watch SNL, and the people that go do the NBC tour, like they always say something like, it was a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. Like the sets, but did anything stand out? Like it was different than I thought it would be. Or?
The bar scene was in there. The bar was one of my favorite scenes.
Because I'm like, how do we get in the basement? Like, how do we sneak into the basement? How do we get Angie to take us in the basement?
Yeah, I think they had that closed off.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
But they
have like
basement.
A scene there.
But it was like the way you imagined it to be. Like,
they recreated the scene from the basement, and it looked just like it.
And the clown. We're gonna bring up the clown.
The clown was creepy.
Yeah, it was the holy shit moment.
It was. I'm glad you were behind me, man, because he got up and walked behind you. Freaked me out.
Was terrifying.
The bar and the piano scene was one of my favorites.
Hector. All right. So if you want to follow Stephen's Adventures, you can do that on Twitter, SAJCO5 or 05.
So many adventures. So many. I'm like Indiana Jones.
So many adventures. All right. Let's get into the movie. And then we have like our patented 10 questions here. But I noticed on Twitter that, and I saw this was really cool. You posted, and it's like your pinned post on Twitter, the house that you saw, and it was the inspiration for Hell House. So I wanted to ask, like, how did this all come about? Like, when did the idea pop in your head that you see this and then it inspired you to write this movie?
So Hell House was the first feature I wrote, and it was horror. But like when I was in film school, I never actually saw myself as a horror filmmaker, but I always loved the genre. And it finally dawned on me at some point that if I'm going to make a feature, like let's try a genre that I actually have a passion for. And I wrote Hell House, and it was basically this an idea that haunted house gone wrong and what would happen and how we're going to approach that. So the idea, it's cliche to say, but as a writer, like every idea starts as a seed and it just grows over time. Sometimes that will grow very quickly. Sometimes that seed will take a long time to grow. I think Hell House took a while to write just because I tried different iterations of the script, different story lines, but like at the first few iterations of the drafts of the script they were not found footage. They were traditional narrative. But I was not liking every draft of that. I was like, this is garbage. I don't like it. I'm not liking where it's going. But I still kept the basic premise of haunted house gone wrong. And it clicked. It dawned on me at one point just to kind of go the foul documentary route with it and try a version of the script that way. And then the story really came together, and I liked it a lot more. And little things inspired me throughout the way. And one of them was finding this abandoned house out in Rockland County. And that was when I was living in New York City at the time. I was living up in Washington Heights, which is right at the GW Bridge. So my apartment overlooked the GW. And when you drive over the GW Bridge, you drive into New Jersey, but you take a right, you go into Palisades, you're back into New York, and you're up in Rockland County. And I just loved it up there. It's just a beautiful, scenic part of New York. And I came upon that house. And then something, else was inspired about the story. Like, well, this is where Hell House, they're going to leave the city. They're going to go out in Rockland County. They're going to go to a place like this. Obviously not this exact house, but seeing abandoned places in person sometimes can really add some fuel to the creative process. And seeing this house in person did. And so over a 2-year period, the story really came together. And a lot of scares stayed the same way they were from first draft to last draft. So my favorite scare in the film is because it's the first scare I ever conceived of in my life, was the time when Paul wakes up in the middle of the night and he goes out his bedroom and he looks down the stairs and the clown is standing at the bottom of the steps.
Yeah.
That was something that that was like the first scare I thought of, and it never changed throughout every version of the script. And it always remained the same. And then when we shot it, I loved the way it came out too. I think it came out exactly the way I'd hoped for it to be. But so it was like, a lot of versions, a lot of drafts of the script over a 2-year process where I was very comfortable to, pull the trigger and say, let's go film this now.
Oh, very cool. All right. And then we got to ask about the clowns, because,
those were terrifying.
So were clowns always in the script? Was this like people are afraid of clowns? I'm going to play on that coulrophobia, as it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So clowns were, definitely. And especially because that was the first scare I wrote, that there was a prop that was going to be moved in the middle of the night and be someplace it shouldn't be. And that was always in my head, was going to be a clown. So at the time, I thought that clowns are scary, but they weren't scary as of late, because I thought clowns were a little too silly. So I think clowns won't be silly if you over-exaggerate them. So like the frilly hair, the nose, and everything like that, then it loses its subtlety, and subtlety is everything, especially in the Hell House movies. And so what I wanted to do was just kind of make it very basic, black and white, kind of model it off of the old black and white photography, the old circus clowns back in the 20s. And so it really is it's a metaphor for the entire direction of how the scares work, because the scares are all very subtle and less is more, and that's how the clown should be too. It should mirror how the scares are. So that was the idea. We had a lot of problems getting the actual mask that was made. We had a lot of iterations of that, a lot of versions, a lot of things fell through, a lot of near disasters, but the one we finally came on was this one, and it worked out perfectly because it was like a last second fix that we needed, because a lot of other bad things happen in your first feature film, and many other films. Filmmaking, what can go wrong will always go wrong, and that's how filmmaking is. and we almost didn't have a clown at all just because of a series of bad events that happened. But thankfully, we got this clown, and it worked out. It's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, so these were creepy, and as creepy it was to watch, was it creepy to film? Like with these clowns, like did it creep you out?
Yeah, the thing is, like especially when you're found footage, like there's when you're in the dark, when there's a scene in the dark, you're actually in the dark.
Yeah.
So in this place, you've been there. The place is a maze.
Yeah.
It took me a while, even though I'd been there many times before we started filming. I still got lost a lot. So actors and crew were always getting lost. So when you're in the control room, you would see actors like looking up at security cameras and like being like waving, being like, "Help! Where am I? Someone tell me how to get out of here." So. For that, it was scary, and but we never really filmed through the night ever, which is one of the benefits of the Waldorf is it doesn't have any windows, so we were able to shoot day for night all the time.
Oh, okay.
And so we never had any of these crazy overnight shoots. So anytime we were at the Waldorf, it was usually always during the day.
Okay.
And so we never had any like spooky. I would say like the only time we did shoot overnight in the entire franchise was probably in the scene in the third one where Bridget Abrams. She has to go down and kiss the clown at night. And I love that scene though, but that was you had to do it at night because the exterior was at night. So but normally it was the creep factor was taken down just because we were in the daytime. At any time, if you're able to find a door, you can just go out into daylight.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I gotta ask about Brock Davies. Like, favorite character in the whole thing. The paranormal.
He's such a funny guy too. Like on set, he's so funny and just a great guy, and I just loved having him on set.
Yeah, the line delivery and like I don't know if this was organic, and I've had to watch a scene a couple times, like when he's on the outside of the house and they're about to go in, and he's in like paranormal show host mode. And if you haven't seen the second one, it's amazing. But like the delivery, the door being open, they knew we were coming. Like it's so like
the way he
sleazy.
It's perfect.
It's just so. And then my favorite line in the whole thing. I think it's a good sign. The hotel wants to be heard. It knows I can help. It's just like that's so. One particular thing about this actor here, Kyle Engelman. Was there one thing in the audition process that like sold it for you for that particular part? Because he's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, everything exactly what you just said is that like he played the character just like you just said, and like he got me wrapped up into his audition, and like I was laughing and getting into it, and I was like, this is perfect. And when we discussed the character, he and I both had the same idea, which was Bill Murray in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2. When he's hosting that show, and like kind of like that style of character where it's a little over the top, but in a performance way though, but in a comedic kind of way too. Very very character oriented, and Kyle just he loved the character. He loved his experience being on set, and it was fun. I would say the pictures you have on screen right now, with the planchette moving around on the table.
Yes,
it's probably one of the toughest gags to film, just because we were moving it by magnets, and we just had a series of like strong magnets underneath the table moving the planchette, and it was so hard to get right, and so Kyle had to do these lines over and over, like ask the spirits questions like, "Spirit, are you with us?" and nothing would happen. He'd be like, "Are you sure you're not with us, Spirit?" Because you got to tell me yes or no. And so we do it over and over, and it was Angie who was underneath it, and she was working the magnets.
Oh, that's so cool.
The thing is, like, because it's a thick, the table's a thick piece of wood, so the magnets it was such a tough catch for the magnetism. And me being an expert on magnets, I should have known better, because I minored in magnetism.
Magnetometry.
Yeah. And so I brought my collection of magnets to the set that day, but I guess we just needed something stronger. But that was just tough, just because it was a gag, and we wanted to do it all on camera and no like effects, and mostly because we don't have money for effects. But also, I think it would just look cooler just to see it see it move. And but he was he was great on set that day. He was just going along. They went on and on. It was so long to film. Such a simple scene, just moving a planchette across the table, but that took forever to film.
Yeah, and the other half of this that I have to ask about, and this is going to come up later in the questions, was the Easter eggs. Like if you look on the table at the bottom left here, there's like, he just writes yes and no, Y and N on it. But when the characters wander by it a little bit later, it's just, it's all yes, 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 yes. The no's completely gone. And the last question that he had asked before blah, blah, blah happens, watch the movie, was, do you intend to do harm, or does, like, something along those lines? And like the whole table's just filled with yeses, and I was just like, because that's like a blink and you'd miss it kind of thing in there. Were those things, that type of Easter egg, because I know you do layer a lot of footage from like the previous movies on things, were those things like organic, or were those things scripted?
It depends. Some things, like for instance, that was scripted. Some things I do in post-production, where I'll figure out like a cool way to do a gag and hide something in a glitch or something like that, for instance. But most because I love that. I love trying to catch things that that you might only catch on your second or third watch of a film, and hiding things within it. So I love putting things like Easter eggs in there. Some of those Easter eggs are scripted. Some of them are just like fun things. I find I'm like, ooh, I'm editing a scene. I'm like, ooh, I can do this, and like sneak something in there. And the fourth one, I forget if you guys I know you guys have just watched the original trilogy, not the fourth one yet though, but there is a fun Easter egg in one of the glitches that I don't think a lot of people have found yet, or anybody. But it's just like when you can find ways to make something rewatchable for the audience to have fun looking for things like that. I always love writing those things in.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I've seen the fourth one, not recently. I thought right when it dropped, but now I want to go back in and watch it again.
When did that come out? I don't think I've seen it.
It was within the last year, wasn't it?
Oh.
It was last October.
Okay.
So we'd have to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's a Shudder exclusive, so you gotta watch it on Shudder. Very, very cool. All right, man. God, I love this character. I kind of want like a Brock Davies prequel. I don't know why.
An origin story. Yeah, like Brock. Yeah, and no, he was great. I'm so glad you gave a shout out to Kyle, because he was a lot of fun on set. And with everyone I've met on these films, all the actors, it's just like it's corny and cliche, but it's like it is a family. I always wish I could see them more and work with them again, but I only make a film like every 2 or 3 years, so it's hard to do that. But no, he was great.
I mean, not to take anything away from the rest of the actors, because they were all amazing. I'm gonna have somebody like reach out. Angie's gonna be like, "Why didn't you mention me?" Angie's also in the movie as well.
Yes.
And also Under the Table. Didn't know that. That's cool. That's a little tidbit right there. But Kyle was just that character just spoke to me.
That's fine.
I'm glad
he did that character so well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Waldorf State of Fear, here's the information again. Now, we were able to go, like we mentioned, on our road trip here, and in conversations going back and forth, setting you up for the show, you had mentioned that you have been to a couple of the haunted attractions up in your neck of the woods there. Obviously, Waldorf State of Fear, but you've mentioned that you've been to Field of Screams, which is awesome.
I actually, no, I misspoke. I was actually Reaper's Revenge is where I was last October. Yeah.
Okay, so which we went to for the first time last October there.
Yeah.
We were probably there on the same night you were. It was raining. It was cold.
No, I had a beautiful night that night. And what I remember from Reaper's is that it is so long, and I had to pee so badly. And I was like, I didn't know how long it went on for. But they had a potty break, just like as if I was like an infant or a toddler needing a potty break. But they had that for people like me. You can get off the wagon and go to one of the porta potties. But that was such an immersive, amazing haunt. I loved everything they did, and I was blown away by it because it's in my backyard, and I had never been there until recently, and just till last October. And it was such a fun night. I just went with some family, and we were all just like, "Hey, let's just get tickets on a whim. Let's go out there." And I said, "All right, let's do it." And we just had the time of our lives out there. It's just because it goes on for so long. I think that adds to the experience because you're just going from set to set to set to different inside, outside, everywhere. So I love that experience so much.
Yeah. We actually, that night, we went from the Waldorf to Reaper's Revenge.
Yeah, it was in that same night.
And Angie's like, she's like, oh, you're going to another haunt? She's like, you need to go now, like, because it was about to storm and all that stuff like that. So I'm glad we were able to do those in the same night. Those were really awesome. But up in your neck of the woods, you got Field of Screams, you got Penhurst, and there's all kinds of stuff in the upper northeast of the U.S.
That was a great road trip. We had a lot of great haunts.
Yeah, that region.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And here's our pictures with Angie there. We gave our shout out to the house October built in front of the Waldorf, and then one of the characters right there. So this was our 6th road trip. Already planning our 7th. We want to do one of these every single year or 2. But it was such a good night.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. The character in the front was great. Yeah, he was interacting with us.
And the haunted attraction itself is just amazing. Whether or not you are a Hell House fan or not, you should be. The haunt itself is just badass.
Yep.
Really, really good. All right. Okay, so we got a new project coming up.
Oh, yeah.
825 Forest Lane. And I just pulled this up. I was just looking.
Oh, it's Forest. It's Forest Road, but not Lane. But Lane works. I like the sound of that.
All right. So if it changes,
Boulevard. Actually, I'm gonna change it to Boulevard.
Forest Boulevard. Okay.
But just because if anyone knows the 4th movie, Carmichael Mayer knows that I like long titles. So if anything, I can make that title longer.
All right. So 825 Forest. Insert street name here. So anything you want to share about the upcoming project you're working on?
This project has been. I laugh just because I shot this film in 2021. It's not for me, not recent, but it's been in post production forever. It finally wrapped everything in late 2023, and I do not know what is the plan for it. I don't know anything about when it will be released, where it will go. I wish I had more information about that. I haven't had too much information about that for a long time.
That's all right.
But I loved my experience on this film. I love this film. All the actors and everybody just did an amazing job, and so I can't wait for everyone to see it. Just for the job that everyone in this film, the performances, and everything that the cast and crew did as well. But one thing I will say about it is that Vanessa Shepard of Hell House 3 is one of the female leads in Forest Road. Cool. So and her performance is just lights out. So I'm excited for it for people to see how well everyone did in these. Thank you for how well the performances were. I think the scares are fun, and they have a little bit of put Boulevard in there, BLVD, just a short. No, I'm kidding. But I wish I did. I'm kind of mumbling here because I don't have much information about this film right now because I'm already on to other projects as well. So Road Boulevard. Oh, I like it. Three.
You're looking at all of the same
Lane, Road, Boulevard.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Forest Street.
Yeah.
Well,
in convoluted town.
The main reason I wanted to bring this up is just if you're a fan of your these types of movies and Steven's talents, put this on your radar for whenever it is distributed or whenever it's put out there. Very, very cool. And then what else we got here? Okay, so question, and this is something it is completely optional here. But we did talk about the Houses October Bill a little earlier. Yeah. We've had Jake Jarvion from the Haunt season. We've talked a little bit back and forth with the folks behind Haunt. So, completely optional, if there was an unofficial Haunt cinematic universe with haunted attraction-based horror movies, would you like Hell House to be a part of it?
Well, of course.
Yay!
Like the Haunt Avengers.
Yeah, it's like the Haunt Avengers, exactly.
Yay.
All right, so cool. All right, so
I love it.
Very, very cool. I just had a conversation with Zach Andrews from the House October Bill the other day, and I asked him, like, hey, we're about to have this, like, would you consider yourself part of this thing as well? So we're kind of slowly building out our Avengers-style Haunt
I still
cinematic
need to see
universe.
Haunt season. I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good.
you
Well,
know where I
it's
can watch
not,
it?
I don't think, I saw the...
Because there's so few of movies of that, so it's just it's like it's a small group of films that you could consider in that. You can broaden it out to be like films based in the Halloween season or something like that. But yeah, for haunt attraction itself, films, yeah,
It's niche.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, so now, Stephen, we've got some questions for you. Are you ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Now, some of these are completely selfish on my end. I just need to know some of these things, and then some of them you might enjoy. So let's get into our last one here.
I'm only going to enjoy some of them.
Well, I mean,
I hope you enjoy all of them.
I hope you enjoy all of them. But like the answers are, I need help. I need help sleeping.
Came
tonight,
from
so I need
Johnny's
to know
brain,
this.
and they need to be answered.
There are some
so he can sleep good at night.
random stuff in here. Well, let's go ahead and get to our 10 questions.
The elevator pitch.
That was.
I mean, sorry, the 10 questions, right?
That was like half an hour ago, Melissa. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Questions.
You're still 30 minutes ago.
I know, right?
That's fine. That's fine.
It's all good.
All right. Are you ready for this? And I am going to give the disclaimer here because he has not seen these questions, so there is no prep work here. So these are all going to be official, like raw answers. All right.
Okay.
First,
if I end up embarrassing myself, I'm going to be very angry at you.
That's okay. All right. What is the capital of Turkmenistan? Just kidding.
Is that actually?
No, it's not. All right.
It's him.
All right. So, because you did allude to this earlier, but I wanted you to unpack it just a little bit. How did you get connected to the Waldorf Estate of Fear to film Hell House?
I think I either called or emailed Angie. I got in touch with a lot of haunts before that. Some haunts were like, get lost. We don't want anything to do with you. Some haunts were
Jerks.
They were like, sure, maybe we'll consider it. We'll get back to you, and they never did. And then, but Angie was the one who was one of them who enthusiastically got back to me immediately. And so she invited me out. I sent her the script. She invited me out, but I forget if our first correspondence was email or phone though. But that's where I fell in love with Angie, just because she wasn't like being like, I don't know about it. She was just like, this sounds like fun. Let's get together. Let's talk. And I loved that enthusiasm. So.
Oh, that's cool. Then it was meant to be that, because that is a match made in heaven. That was perfect.
I might have sent a letter. I don't know what year it was, so it might have been we might have been sending correspondence by
Fax.
I think I read too that the Waldorf Estate of Fear
Pigeon,
haunted
smoke
house.
signal.
It was built in an abandoned hotel, which is kind of in the movie, like the haunted house.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I
abandoned
liked
hotel.
most about the Waldorf is just like when you just look at the exterior. I hadn't seen the inside too much yet. I only saw pictures of the exterior. I'm like, wow, this is fitting the script very perfectly because it has the abandoned look already. So when you're making an independent film, a very low budget independent film, you gotta be very creative on how you choose where you're going to film things, because you can't do things on your own. You can't build sets. You can't do things in CGI. So we needed every location has to look the way we need it already. And Angie's place did. So that little abandoned house you showed in the beginning, I actually reached out to the owners of that. Because I was thinking like maybe I should film that in an actual abandoned house. But then I immediately said like that's a terrible idea. A, it has no electricity. B, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no infrastructure around. And so I was like, okay, now let's start looking for haunted houses that look abandoned. And that's what led me to finally look up Angie.
Oh, yeah, it was a cool little fact. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Go ahead, Melissa.
So was Hell House originally conceived as a trilogy?
Or more than one movie. I think it's probably the easiest way.
No, it was not conceived as a trilogy. It was conceived as a trilogy. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to roll with that.
No, that's insert laugh track. That's just a terrible joke. But it's just one movie. And the thing is, like, all those drafts, every time I rewrote it, I was losing little bits of backstory, especially when I moved it to a found footage. So I had all this backstory that was on like the metaphorical cutting room floor, And so after the first one came out, I wanted to flesh out all the backstory that I cut out of the script, and the whole backstory of the Abaddon Hotel, Andrew Tolley, the cult, and all that stuff. And I tried to then flesh that out into the next two films. But so the story was always there, but it was never. I never said when I wrote the original film like this is meant to be a trilogy of films. It just like when the first one came out, I was like, I think I might have an opportunity to fill in the story that was lost. Through all the subsequent drafts.
Oh, that's cool. Because it definitely is a greater than the sum of its parts, because every film builds upon it and feeds back into the other ones. I love it, love it, love it. All right, next question. And I mentioned this earlier. How important was it to layer in those Easter eggs in your films? And I think one of my favorite shots is there's a shot in the bar where literally it's the same camera angle and it's literally laid one film over the other as things are going wrong. Like it's just so. What was your thought process on that?
Well, I think that's for me. It's the fun part of writing is that like you write the story. The story is your layer. Every other layer under that, you can every subsequent draft of the script you add more layers to, and that's I think where the fun comes in for writing is that you can. Once you know what your basic story is, you have a draft of it, then you can find fun ways to pepper in all these fun hidden gems, these little Easter eggs, and then. But I also like the callbacks, the setups and the payoffs. And now, if I know that this person dies, is there any way I can foreshadow that in dialogue or something in the background, or I can bring that out in the beginning. That when you get to the end and you see that, you're like, oh, I saw something that. Reference that in the beginning, and that kind of makes what I love about movies is it makes it rewatchable when there's things that you might have missed and callbacks and Easter eggs. So I find that the fun part of writing is when you have a good draft of the film of the script that you're working on completed, then you can go back and layer in all those fun little details that hidden in the background that a lot of people might catch or might not catch, but it's and when they do catch it, it's like yes, someone found that and caught that up. So I love that part.
So a specific example, I forget what it's called in a movie. It's called the Schrodinger's gun or something like that, where if they show a gun, they have to use it at some point in the film. I forget what the actual trope is in the movies, but one specific example is you bring up and I think it's the second movie or the third movie, where I think it's the third movie, where he's talking about the lazy Susan at the bar spinning around with the glasses, and then eventually at one point in the movie, the camera ends up on the lazy Susan as it turns around and pans.
And that's the thing, you can't if we're gonna have that gag where the camera's spinning around. That was me just trying to do something fun with the camera outside of someone just holding it. Like, how can we get a 360 on the action that's going on? So I put in the Lazy Susan, looked on Amazon. I was like, okay, so these things do exist. They do have Lazy Susans that spin automatically. But if you're going to do that gag at the end, it has to be introduced early on. Or people are like, why is this camera spinning?
Right.
You have to see something spinning early on in the film, in the first act, or people are going to be like, is the camera possessed? Why are we turning in circles right now? So
that's cool. Yeah, I love how that was paid. If you know what that's called, it's something gun in a movie. I forget what that actual term is, but that was really neat. All right. Okay, so we actually hit on this earlier. Go ahead and ask this one, Melissa.
Did you intentionally shoot the interior shots to disorient the viewer?
No, I don't think the intention was disorientation. Actually, a lot of the early part of the film, especially the tour goer chaos, was more to give the viewer a little bit of knowledge of how it's all laid out. I wanted to make sure that the audience knew where we were at certain times. So, because I think there was a lot going on in some of these scares that if you didn't know what room they were running into, it just adds a layer of confusion that I didn't want. So I think and then now that you're asking this question, I feel like I failed at that. I was really hoping to do a lot of long shots through the hotel, just so the audience kind of knows, okay, I generally know where I'm going. If I left this room, I'm in that room, just so it makes sense when you see them running around the hotel later on, that you know where they're going. So it's not just like, wait, where are we now? I didn't want that reaction from the audience being like, what? Wait, why? How did we get to the basement? This doesn't make any sense. I didn't want that thought. I wanted them to just enjoy the scare or the scene and not wondering how we got there. So especially the tour goer chaos scene in the beginning was like it was a long take. It was supposed to be so we know how we got to A, B, C, and D and got out of the hotel. That I was hoping that would just help the viewer later on when we're moving through know the hotel better. But so it's not more disorientation. We film more just for mood and atmosphere rather than to disorient.
Okay. And I think one of the things, because I will be honest, I think I was somebody that was, I've watched all three of the first three movies. I've been in the actual haunted attraction, and I think with some of the staff doors, like the sneaky passages they go in and all that.
Yeah,
I think with a lot of that, it's. I couldn't tell you. I know how you get in the house with the front door and the foyer and all that stuff, but like I wouldn't know what way to turn.
Same, yeah.
And the funny thing is when I was watching, I think it was the third movie or second movie, somebody had a drawn out map and like here's the layout of the house or something like that, and I'm looking at that going, I wish I had that in my brain.
Yeah.
You know, but that's cool. And then one of the characters I think in the second movie is like, I'm an expert, or I know my way around, or go here. We're going to go directly there into the basement, get the things and all that stuff. But that was cool. And it's sorry, it was probably just me. That's all good.
No, but that's a good, because for me it's the same thing. I think it took me a long time to really know my way around. So if you just have visited once or twice, you're still not going to know how to get to A, B, and C, how to get to point A, how to get to the bar, how to get to the basement, how to get to the kitchen. It's very confusing. You're right. They have all those corridors, doors that open and close that look like walls, and also Angie has changed it around so much since the original film, so it looks different now than when we shot the film back in 2014. So there's also that added layer that when I go there, I'm like, wait, I thought I was going here, and she's like, nope, we changed it. You got to go that way now. And I'm like, darn it, I just
doing it on purpose.
Just figured out where to go now, and everything's changed. So.
Yeah,
awesome, very cool. And then we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier. What was the creepiest thing you've ever experienced on site? But you told us that you filmed most of it during the day. So, but did you have anything? Because I know that they do paranormal tours and all kinds of stuff. Anything you've experienced on site?
No, and we didn't because of that reason. Is that I think that's why we don't have too many experiences on set where you hear like stories like when they were filming The Exorcist, all weird things happen. We never had anything happen there, but. I've heard those stories. I've been there. I've talked to some of the actors that work at the Waldorf during the season. They all have like creepy stories. But when we were there, I think we were there from like 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m., 6 p.m. or something that we left. So we never had any like nighttime overnight stuff. And I don't remember any of the actors experiencing anything though, but that place is it's creepy enough, but I don't think anyone heard or saw anything. And I got to say, I was just there a few months ago. I was just doing a Q&A with a group of people there, and we were doing some pictures in the bar, and I took a picture with a group of people, and the person who was taking the picture took like a series of pictures. And the series of pictures, just me and the people I'm taking the picture with, and it's the first two pictures are clear, and the third picture has a mist across it.
Oh, wow,
and
creepy.
And they were looking at the picture, and they were like, "What's this? Was anyone smoking?" And we're like, "No, there's no one was smoking. Why?" And they showed me the picture. That mist was not there, and it was crazy. And for myself, I've never experienced, like, I don't even really believe in ghosts, and so I've never experienced anything live paranormally. I see things posted, people show me pictures. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't there for that, so I don't know if I can believe that or not. I was there for this, and it was weird. I want to get that, track down that picture so I can show it to people. But that was like my only experience at the Abaddon where I was there for it and something happened, but it wasn't during filming. It was during just a hangout session with a bunch of Hell House fans.
Oh, very, very cool.
We have Kara, one of our team members on HauntScene in here. Hi, Kara. And she says it was such a good haunt. It was a really good haunt, and I was having a heart attack going through it. The movie itself creeped me. Being there at the actual location creeped me out because the movie was very terrifying. So it gave me anxiety going through it. But I loved it a lot though. But it really freaked me out.
We're gonna lighten the mood with this question, Melissa.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask that one right there.
Replace one character in any of the Hell House movies with a Muppet. Which Muppet would it be, and how would it impact the movie?
Um, how would it impact the movie? I think only for the better.
I think that's awesome.
Um,
That's awesome.
so, I think if people like Hell House, once they see Hell House with a Muppet, then it's going to be like their favorite movie of all time.
Absolutely.
I can see
Muppet Hell House.
the one that's like always screaming. What's the little yellow one with the red hair? That's like
Yeah,
he's always in front of the camera. He's running and he's screaming like he's running down the hallway, running away from the clowns. I can see that one. That's great.
I get to see like Kermit giving Alex's inspirational speech behind the bar, like we're gonna have a great year here.
Yeah. Or Sam the Eagle.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh no, dude, Sam the Eagle as Brock Davies.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so.
And the little blue jacket. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome.
I would love that.
Or
yes.
or just Beaker in any role.
In any role.
Yeah.
Just any role in the
Andrew
house.
Tully is Beaker.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
When I was a kid, I loved one of my favorite shows was Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
The animated show. As a TV show outside the movies though, but that just hearing the Muppets just flashed me back to when I was a fan of that show. When I was a kid, like when I was younger, when I was like 22, that's when I watched that show.
I grew up on that one.
Yeah.
I need Rizzo and Gonzo in there too at some
Nice.
point to wander through.
Gonzo, yeah, there you go.
Rizzo's my favorite.
So you guys watched the movie at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, we watched it the night before. We watched it at 2 a.m., which scared me even more. And then the Airbnb,
we were in a
Airbnb we stayed
creepy-ass
in was a
Airbnb.
creepy Airbnb,
Yeah.
and I couldn't sleep at all that night. I was so scared. I was sleeping downstairs, and the other two were upstairs. I was so scared. I didn't get any sleep
Now
that night.
the actors all had a lot of creepy experiences at the motel we were staying at while we're filming.
Oh, really?
And because that's where you're overnight though. But you're just out in the middle of nowhere. You're at a motel, and I remember at one point I got a call in the middle of the night from one of the actresses, and she says someone keeps on knocking at my door, and I remember saying I was like, well, answer it, find out what they want. No, but I was like, that's creepy. I hope it all works out. But I know I just called the front desk and told them to send someone over, and then we went over, and she was fine. I asked her if she wanted to switch rooms though, but she didn't. She was fine though. But there's a few instances of that, like just like some sketchy characters showing up and and knocking on doors and stuff like that. But I think that was might have been subconscious inspiration for why we did with Chase. I had someone knocking on his door in the middle of the night when he was at the Carmichael Manor. But anytime you can work in something real life into a fictional scare is fun. But that place. I mean, it was a motel. We went there because very convenient at a good price. But that was, I think that might have creeped out some of the actors more so than being at the Abaddon during the day.
All right.
And most houses up north, like Pennsylvania and stuff, they just have that old creepy airy feeling too. You know what I mean? Everything up there is just creepy.
Yeah.
Where did you draw inspiration from? Where do you draw inspiration from? Sorry.
Where do I draw? So I'm a Stephen King fan. Always have been. I just been reading him all my life. So I love his stories. I don't know if that I would call that inspiration. I think inspiration for Hell House, I think, came from a mixture of my love of The Exorcist. And I think the subtlety of that film and how horrifying it is, yet so it's subtle. One of I would say the found footage film that really inspired me to go the documentary route with it was a movie called Lake Mungo. And that's an Australian found footage film that is just amazing. And I loved how they made like kind of foul documentary. It seemed so real and so believable, which adds another layer of terror, which found footage I think is scarier than a lot of films just because it has that level of
I agree.
real.
Yeah.
So that means any scare is just that much more scarier because it has that feeling of realness. But then when you add documentary vibe to it, then I think that just heightens it even more. And what they did in Lake Mungo was just brilliant. And so that's when I was rewriting, I remember having that film in the back of my head saying like, they did it so well. I think this film could be it was also was that and Dateline NBC's Murder Mysteries, which I kind of like was like molding those two things together to when I was rewriting the script. My favorite things is like a good old-fashioned murder mystery, true crime kind of thing, but instead of, what is 90% of those things are a guy murders his wife, I'm like, let's just make this a paranormal event that they're investigating. So, but for me, when it comes to writing a scare, it's just about um, I try to find things in my real life and just imagine what could possibly happen. What would be a very terrifying thing to happen in any situation, any time, and then and hopefully, and if the answer is fun and good, I'll write that and I'll write it down and save it and try to apply it into a script somehow. So, but I just know what scares me is what I try to write into the script, and for me, it's always the subtle stuff. I never like any big boos, big jump scares. I'm not saying that I totally avoid jump scares. I put them in there as well, though. But for me, it's always the subtle stuff.
Oh, very cool. I think I have a question about that, actually. There it is. Oh, wow, it's almost like on my own Brock Davies. Can you walk us through an example of how one scare was developed from script to screen? You mentioned the clown earlier on the prop. You knew they were going to do that, but are there any other examples how you adapted it, like on site?
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, it's always a gamble. So I write these scares, and I'm like, on paper, this sounds good. We'll see how it gets, how it comes out when we get there. So. For instance, I'm thinking like Carmichael Manor when Margaret Carmichael peeks her head out from the around the corner down the hallway. We're in daylight at that point, and I remember when I was writing that scare, I was thinking, "Look, this is daylight. This is just a girl peeking out from around a hallway. I don't know if this is going to be scary. It sounds scary to me." Well, I can't wait to get on site and shoot this and find out if it is scary. And it turned out it worked out, but we shot a lot of variations of it. And so like I would have her peek out so many different times, different ways, and just be like yelling down the hallway, like peek out again. Now go back, do it again, and just see how it's looking on camera and kind of finesse it over some time until I think we got it just right. But from script to screen. Usually I'll rewrite the scare a few times just to, especially if I write a scare for a location that's fictional in my head, and then when you find the location, you have to have it fit that location. So a really good example of this, and I'm referencing Carmichael Manor only just because it's more fresh in my head because we just filmed it, a little over a year ago. The scare where Chase is alone in the house for the first time, and he hears the rubber ball bouncing down the hallway. And he comes out and he sees shadows walking on the wall. The shadows moving back and forth on the wall, which the only thing that could be were the mannequins that were in that supply closet. So that was not originally how it was supposed to be. The original scare that I wrote for that was that Chase was fixing a water leak in his bathroom, and his faucet kept on leaking. So he told Margot, like, well, you want me to shoot everything? I'm going to shoot this mundane task that I'm doing. And he has the camera focused into the bathroom, and behind him the shower keeps on turning on, and he opens the curtain, turns the shower back off. But this one time he doesn't let go of the curtain. He lets go of the curtain, but he doesn't pull it back closed. And then we actually see a hand stick out and turn on the shower, and then go back behind the curtain. I loved that scare. I thought it was really cool. But there was no place where that would work out in where we finally landed in the Carmichael Manor. There's no way to angle to get the curtain perfect and like have the framework. We get Chase and the curtain behind him. So then when we got to set, I had to just change where that was going to be. And walking through that hallway in the daylight, I actually have this in my Instagram feed. You can see I'm walking through there. I'm walking through the Carmichael Manor with my kids. And I asked them, I said, will you go into that closet over there and just walk back and forth? And I want to see what kind of shadow that puts. And it created a little bit of shadow, obviously, not much, because we had to, get a professional camera crew in there to make it work well, though. But I was like, oh, this actually might work if I just do a shadow gag here instead of that. And that just came through walking the halls of the Carmichael before we started filming and just trying to brainstorm and figure it out. And eventually... Thankfully, the answer came to me because I think that scare was pretty cool. I liked it. And obviously, and Josh Layton, our cinematographer, was able to figure out a brilliant way to get the lighting perfect so that the the silhouette of the shadow walking back and forth on the wall was just right. So that's just one example of how an evolution of a scare, how it's originally written and how it was shot was a little bit different.
Oh, very cool. Now, I did forget to tag your Instagram. It is Stephen_Cognetti. Pretty easy if you want to follow adventures on Instagram as well.
Follow him, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of adventures.
All the things. All right. What was that? Did we just get money thrown at us?
Did we
again?
get pennies thrown at us?
Okay. All right. Do you have any go-to snacks or drinks?
I thought that was the sound when you ask about snacks. Like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was the sound that always pops up.
I just followed you on Twitter, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Good job.
I just did it real quick. Yeah.
Follow me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, thank you.
A HauntScene Mel, by the way. If you see it, that's me.
Okay. I shall follow you right back.
Okay.
So I am a ginger ale guy. Love ginger ale.
Like Verner's?
It's good for your stomach.
Verner's or like Canada Dry?
Yeah, this is Canada. I'm not that particular on how it is, but like outside, like if I had to go to drink outside of water, if I had an alcoholic beverage, it's a Scotch or a good red wine. But for just regular fun recreational drinks, it's definitely ginger ale. Snacks, my kids are they're kids, so they're snackaholics, and so I will always dabble in whatever. I'm like, let me try that just to make sure it's good enough for you. And it's and sometimes I go back to snacks that I haven't had since I was a child. And I'm just like brought back to how I made like an Oreo. Like I haven't had an Oreo in like 20 years, and I have one. I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
I bring back all those snacks like Dunkaroos. I grew up on Dunkaroos, man.
Yeah,
They're coming back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snacks of the 90s, man. Let me tell you.
Cool. So snacks or whatever's available. All right, last question. Where could the Hell House franchise go from here if you ever want to revisit it?
So, okay, there is going to be another film.
Yay.
And we are going to shoot, and right now it's scheduled for October, and I'm hoping to lock that in. It's not official yet. So it's going to be filming in October of this year. So it won't come out until the following year. But I when I wrote the Carmichael Manor, I did have a little story arc of where it would go for a series of films in this new direction. I don't know if I would call it a trilogy because I just don't know if I will be making it a trilogy, but it's definitely at least going to be, these two films, Carmichael and this one, subsequent one after that. So this one, we'll have a lot more to announce about it soon, about what the title is and storyline and all that stuff. But I've recently finished the first draft of the script. I'm in the middle of like a third rewrite right now. And the rewrites, as I said, are just the fun process where you get to add in layers and make things a little bit more dynamic. But that is a thing that's happening. Will be at least one more Hell House. And this one is going to be, for me, it's going to be a lot of fun because it's not found footage.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
We're going to go traditional narrative, and I think that's one way to keep Hell House fresh is to change the way it's filmed completely. And for me, I kind of feel like I've done everything there is to have done in found footage, and I just want to be able to do scares a different way, and not just, always having to justify why is this character holding a camera? That gets exhausting. So I just want to shoot, traditional style film for this one. And for me, it's been so much of a blast to write because of that, because I think it's just the scares are just coming better and quicker to me just because I know I'm not locked into this this character's holding a camera for some reason. So I've been having a lot of fun writing this fifth Hell House.
Muppet Hell House.
Muppet Hell House.
Yeah, why do you guys have to give it away that there's going to be
Oh
Muppets?
no! Like HauntScene exclusive.
It'd be awesome if the Muppets like visit Hell House, like Waldorf Estate, like how they did with the Haunted Mansion. Like they visit the Waldorf Estate and go through the haunt. I think I would love that.
I would totally.
I would totally watch.
You could get those
that.
Disney dollars.
Yes, I would totally watch that.
What budget? It's fine. Well, you made it through the 10 questions.
That was a lot of fun. I could sit here all day and talk to you about Hell House and answer questions and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot more, but I'm just like, what can I just pull real quick out of that? So, very cool. Well, we're gonna. That was an hour. It was over an hour, actually. Well, that went
awesome.
by so quick.
Yeah, it did actually. That was fast.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us tonight and answering our questions. You're awesome. Do you have any shout outs or anybody that you want to give some love to before we start to wrap this up?
You put me on the spot there. I just want to tell everybody who might be watching just to keep on watching horror and keep on visiting haunted houses. They're the best thing to do in October. And you guys, thank you so much for this invite. It was a lot of fun to talk to you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, if you're willing, maybe we could have you back on at some point in the future to talk about the new film or something like that. So
100%.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, once again, thank you so much. Make sure you're following Stephen on everything. I know I have it in here somewhere. Hold on one second. Follow all the Waldorf State of Fear things. Follow all the things. Go watch the movies. Do the things. Follow Stephen on everything. And yeah, so appreciate that. Very, very cool. All right, well, hang out on Zoom for a moment if you would. We're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes, and then we'll be right back with you. But thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Very cool.
Thank you.
That was awesome, and I have a feeling if I keep watching, I'm gonna have more questions because that was just like the surface level stuff. He's awesome, man.
He's really cool. He's really, a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here now. We no show next week because we've done shows for a couple weeks in a row. We take every 4th week off, and no show the week the beginning of July because it's like the July 4th holiday.
4th of July.
So we'll be back, I believe, the 2nd Tuesday in July. Still working on the guests, so we'll announce that very, very soon. And we're about to get into like haunt preview season. So all of August, maybe even in towards the end of July, we're going to have some haunts on to preview their season and do all the things, maybe give some tickets away. But yeah, that was an awesome show.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
All right. Very, very cool. All right. Couple things. I need to make sure that we give a shout out here one more time to our sponsors. So thank you to the Fright Night South Florida Fairgrounds. Thank you to Woods of Terror. You are awesome. Follow them on all of the social medias and everything. And that is going to be it for us. Real quick, I don't think if you want to support HauntScene, reach out to us. We do have a couple sponsorship things open if you want to reach out there. Follow us on everything on our social media. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. You are awesome. And follow our journey on everything. We're HauntScene on literally everything. So we would appreciate that. And yeah, so that is going to be it for us tonight. Melissa, good job.
Good job, Johnny.
What time is it now? Where are we going?
It's food time.
It is food time.
Maybe Waffle House?
Probably Waffle House.
We haven't been there in a while.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
All right. We'll see you when we see you. Till next time, spooky as
As always, happy haunting. Have a good night. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Give me some treats.